The following is a summary with quotes and commentary of The Undiscovered Self by C.G. Jung. What will the future bring? How is it that man can progress with the increasing threat of modernity? The rational population is always the minority. Logical discussions can only occur when the emotional degree does not exceed it. With every case of extreme manifest criminality and psychoses in prisons and asylums, there are 10 more hidden among us. There is a limited degree of self-knowledge in the average man. The ego thinks it knows self because it knows merely its own contents, but there is more. We can only truly guard against psychic infection when we know what is attacking us. Statistics and averages say nothing of the true individual. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. Statistics can be the most misleading, although without it, nothing can be said. The truth is nothing but exceptions to the rule. Pure individuality is the only truth. Reality is irregularity. Knowledge and understanding can be completely opposed. Abstract knowledge imparts an unrealistic picture of the world, and the individual becomes merely a marginal phenomenon and plays no role, though is the carrier of reality. The moral responsibility of the individual has been replaced with policy of the state. Every aspect of our lives has become seen through the lens of a social unit and drives us insane. We are slaves of our own fictions and of state doctrines. Viewing others as important is merely comical subjectivity of one's own feelings. They are not special if they are all special. The battle of the individual seems futile, and we are unarmed to fight. Hopelessness is the road to state slavery. Religion is the counterbalance to mass-mindedness. Though it may make a man estranged from the world the same way he is estranged from self when given up to the world. God and inner transcendence is the only way to have resources to overcome the masses. The state has taken place of God. The policy of the state is exalted to a creed and is above criticism. The state replaces fear of God with necessary terror. The value of a community depends on the values of the individuals composing it. Everything is religion, whether we want to see it that way or not. We always have creed and dogma of some kind. Those who don't believe in the Christian religion should at least learn to see it as symbolic. The West has nothing to offer modern man in his need, nothing except a variety of paths, all leading to one goal which is indistinguishable from the Marxist ideal. It is no surprise that the communist ideology gets the certainty of its belief that time is on its side and the world is ripe for conversion. Spiritual and moral freedom is threatened with chaotic disorientation on one side of the world, and on the other it is abolished altogether. Man is an enigma to himself. Consciousness is a precondition of being. Christianity at its root was the life of a man, the individuation process. Fear is at the root of our devaluation of the psyche, the journey into the unconscious. Preaching even the worthiest of precepts only provokes the patient into open hostility or a secret resistance that needlessly endangers the treatment. The world is full of "you should" and "you must," in addition to other propaganda and advertisement. These so-called objective values profit you nothing, since they only serve as a substitute for character and suppresses the individuality. Everything depends on the quality of the individual, and yet we focus on large numbers and mass organizations as if we haven't learned from history at all. The salvation of the world consists in the salvation of the individual soul. Jesus never called a mass meeting. Modern people tend away from religion because its lack of concrete explanations, and often fall into the trap of the state because of its seeming reason. You can take away a man's gods, but only to give him others in return. The neurotic is unconscious of his shadow side, so he sees his shadow in the neighbor or in the man beyond the great divide. We are often purposely distracted by the outer world as to keep us from looking inward. It is imperative that we remold the archetypal forms into ideas which are adequate to the challenges of the present. Just as God made man in his own image, Marxism tries to make man in the image of the state. Much like politics, if one half of the mind pulls obstinately to the right and the other to the left, it is a neurotic psyche. We imagine ourselves to be reasonable, innocuous, and humane, but it is not true. The unconscious, though not to be confused with God, is the medium from which the religious experience seems to flow. Man has done terrible things, and we share in that same human nature. The potential is within us to repeat the atrocities of the past at any time. The aim and purpose of the dictator state is to isolate human beings based on the greatest accumulation of potentiated social units. Where love stops, power begins, and violence and terror. And the individual is the make-weight that tips the scales.